Alright guys, well, I must be a glutton for punishment at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and go through another set of parameters for an ECU configuration. If you get to the level that I'm trying to do for my car, you may run into an issue to where you're trying to send too much information or as much information as you can to integrate the car from ECU to PMU to all your different displays, whether they're the little gauge art ones or like a aim dash or Haltech dash. And maybe your CANBus stuff is not uh, programmable as easy as it needs to be for your usage. So I have my PMU file for the front opened up here, and I have the ECU one in front of me, which I know I need to fix this. Don't worry. It's good that it does notify me though. So if I were to go communications, you're going to have a CANBus set up as a rate. You're going to have CANBus through channels and the predefined data sets turned on, right? And then you have the rate in which it's transmitting, how quickly it's transmitting. Now, for mine, I have the ability to do my Emtron keypad, which I have programmed here. So the keypad buttons could be either on or off. They could be 3 position, 4 position, 8 position, or momentary. Momentary being something like this one could be momentary, but I did it sequential instead. Would be like a rolling anti-lag. So actually, let me grab a sheet real quick. So this position number 1 I have set as launch control. Realistically, I'll probably move that off to, instead of launch control, I'll probably put that to rolling anti-lag. Here it is, number 5. Number 5 position, that needs to be set as momentary, which is odd because I don't see it on this one. Okay, so that will be set to 4. Now it's momentary. The number 4 in this one is traction control, which I have as 4 position. I have intercooler fan override as a toggle as number 3. I have engine fan override as toggle number 2. I have launch control enable disable as number 1. ECU logging is number 2. It's either going to log or not log, so that's a toggle. I have blip shift enable, so it's going to crack open the throttle blade on the drive-by-wire on downshifts as estimation for downshift on number 7. And then I've got what I have labeled as drink mode, which is flame control, drinking my fuel. So I've got a picture of one of the Emtron printouts for the keypad is a picture of like a cocktail being made. It's awesome. So that's number 8. Anyways, and that's gonna have 4 modes, so I'll have it less aggressive to more aggressive. This will be kind of like a show mode. So flame control being crazy anti-lag, wild flames, and these are during acceleration to make a bunch of boost or simply just to make a show of the exhaust. The point of the video, though, I'm gonna get back to, is custom data sets for CANBus. Okay, because you can set all these, and all these will communicate back and forth between the ECU and the PMU. And what I want to do here is go over what I have on the PMU currently, which I'm going to delete, which is the standard communication CANBus channel 1 as these predefined data sets. And I'm going to change this off to custom dataset 1. So I'll put a click. And that way, I'm only sending by CANBus what I want to do for our things. On CAN channel 1, then I can go here to channel 2, and I can say I want it to be, oh, I already had said it, so disregard what I just did. So I had already configured this to be correct. But I can do something like these devices. I have an ETC4 device, which I can drop on there as well. So I think this has an undo function. Yeah, right there. Undo. So I should be able to just go back here. Predefined dataset 1. Channel 2 is custom. Channel 3, I'll put this on, and I'll set it as, by the way, if you guys notice, this is RX8 right here. Can you think what I've been doing to figure out RX8 for the next generation stuff? Yep, I'll leave it at that. So I'll put this on number 60 here. Data set 60. Now it knows that I've got a 4-channel exhaust temperature controller coming into channel 3. And that's all of this ECU is going to have to export on CAN 1. CAN 2, I'll probably have display stuff, which will be, I'll have to see if the speed needs to be 500 kilobits per second. And if I want to do this for display transmit, so number 2, and then I go here, channel 2 on, put this as display number 2, so this one, and that way I can have these CANBus come into where I want it to be. Also on CAN 1, I need to have keypad. Keypad is number 40. So what I'll do here is everything on the keypad will now communicate to the PMU as well. So when I'm transmitting all this stuff, it should be able to be on this CANBus and be interpreted. So now going to the PMU, the current configuration that I set up is where this frame is coming in. It has like the default style. So when you're replacing engine RPM, coolant temp, air temp, charge temp, and I was setting all these up to make it so, let's say that I have a fan override. My fan starts off with, there's the display here for how I have it configured. There it is. So my fan, I have set as hysteresis. I have an inrush current of 100 amps, max current of 40, min 0, inrush time 1 second. It's on a 40 amp single circuit for the PMU. Retry forever. So in other words, if it fails, if it overshoots or undershoots this and has some sort of failure, it'll continue trying to kick itself on. Spall fans like to be somewhere around 100 to 128 for frequency. I have a soft start for half a second. And then I can even create a duty cycle control, and I can send a duty cycle map from the ECU, which I have interpreted. So I'd go tuning. And this is just on or off. But I can make an entire table here to be fan control. So I can go cooling fan. Yeah, I've got its parameters, drive speed, on, off, all this stuff. And all this is on here as well. So I can simply just say I want duty cycle control to be based on this, because previously my fan was an on or off style. Now I've got a brushless fan, so I'm going to go here and create a full table for it. I'll output that on the CANBus channel here. I'll have DC control to do it that way. If you don't have that and you have just a standard fan, you set it like this. So you have engine RPM over 400 RPM, vehicle speed over 60 kilometers an hour, PMU battery voltage over 11.6 volts, and then I've got coolant temp. The hysteresis of 85 degrees Celsius will turn on, 82 will turn off. Or if my oil temp, since I have my 2 oil coolers on top of my radiator, that fan also pulls from there, right? So if my oil temp goes over, the fan kicks on. Or if my coolant temp goes over, this override everything. Doesn't matter what the vehicle speed is or the voltage. I'm sorry, vehicle speed or the engine RPM. So this means if the vehicle is parked, it'll kick it on. And same goes with oil temp. If the vehicle is parked with the engine off, it'll still kick on. So the main thing here is I will be importing all of these frames from various channels from the ECU, whether it's engine speed or G-force, any imaginable data set off of these custom communications that I'm creating. So let me show you guys what I did for custom creation for a transmission data set, which is the ECU TX transmitting to the PMU. So I've got primary injected duty cycle, secondary injected duty cycle, fuel tank level. This is most likely going to be an RX, right? Fuel tank level I most likely have on the PMU coming into the ECU. So not a transmission, but I'll get all this corrected and moved around as needed. Just taking notes now. But all these channels here will now show me to make a communication of the ECU to the PMU as direct and communicative as possible, so I can create parameters across these. So here's an interesting thing I thought about the other day, which I didn't realize I could do, and I think I can do. So Emtron has their keypad and ECUMaster has their keypad. So I didn't like the blank style larger keypad stuff from ECUMaster. My whole thing with the car was to keep it OEM plus. So I have all the factory like cruise control stuff, which I even have in here. Cruise control switches and turn signal switches, those sorts of things, which all of these can be communicated from the ECU to the PMU. What I'm thinking I can do now is I can actually have the PMU function off of these Emtron keypads because I'm communicating via CANBus to get the values that I want. So let's say, for instance, that I wanted to override the PMU's function for whatever, right? And normally you would need the PMU keypad for that job. But because they're on the same CAN channel, and as long as they're on the correct direction of receiving or transmitting, I could simply click the keypad button. It goes through the ECU, communicates transmitting to the PMU, and then the PMU turns on this value as if I had a ECUMaster keypad. But I don't. I have the very low profile it's like a Busman Cooper or something like that. It actually comes out of a bus, the 8 channel for my car. So I can make all of that function as I'd want to for these things to control not just the ECU, but the PMU and the ECU off of my CANBus inputs, outputs, or rather CANBus transmission receive. So there's a quick, I guess not very quick, but an overview of creating a custom data set, and I can just go in here and I can say what I want to add. Well, I go through, I think there are actually 2,000 of these things. So any imaginable channel you want to import or export, like drive slip ratio, for whatever reason. If you had a clutch, this you could use for like if you had a clutch slipper that's electronic. So when you go to launch your car, it does a clutch slip percentage, right? And all sorts of very cool stuff that you can set in here. And you can configure the parameters. So if I went like this and I configure it, then it tells me, oh, okay, here's warning levels for this thing. Here's generate a DTC if this happens. And, all of these things has its own individual warning setting, every single one of these. So this ECU platform is truly remarkable. To be honest, I'm honored to have it in my car. That's what it feels like, because I've worked with a lot of different companies, and there has been not a single one besides this that is this open-ended, this friendly to work with, and they've asked nothing of me, which is, it blows my mind. For the amount of effort that they've put into this car and this system, the support system that they've created is over the top. Whether it's been Nick Pavlovsky, Tony Zerka, Cody Goldstrand, Josh West, we've just had incredible staff there. And it's an honor to have their system in my car. And this is the correct match for what I needed, because this allows me to think differently, to process what I'm able to, create for this vehicle that I'm trying to make damn near indestructible, So hope you guys learned a little bit about some CANBus configuration, communication from the ECU to the PMU. Me explaining this to you guys, it gives me a better understanding of it. So this is giving me time to say, oh, I don't need to do this, or, let's remove this entire grouping, and so on and so forth. It just allows me to think out my car better, because now I know I'm being judged, and I love that. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Guess I'll see you in the next one. I'll do another talking head, and hopefully the audio quality of the second one here is better than the last one, where I had the it's kind of like an audio noise gate, and it was cutting me off constantly. So hopefully this is a little better. All right, y'all. Cheers. See you in the next one.